In a world of limitless opportunities and countless challenges, the choices we make manifest themselves into the very roads that guide us. And the tribulations and triumphs that shape, weather, and bind these paths together are the very essence of what makes the world such a beautifully strange place. But we walk our path with no map, in search of answers that nobody has, simply hoping that we don't get lost along the way. So maybe just sharing our story of where we come from and the things that have guided us along the way can be enough to guide those lost in their own path.
I'm Zach Bonanza, and this is the Lost Guidance Podcast. Gentlemen, welcome and join us again in a 19th episode of the Lost Guidance Podcast. As you know, I'm Zach Bonanza, and I'm joined in the studio with Ryan Flynn.
How's it going?
Dude, thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
This is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
As everybody knows, I'm a big condoner of local music, and in the local music scene, I'm just trying to advocate as much as I can, because I tell everybody, the Rolling Stones weren't just starting at Madison Square Garden, they had to build up. And so anytime I see a good band with a lot of potential, I love to share the message of what they're doing. And that's you guys. Awesome. Ryan is the guitarist and backup vocalist, right, for Our Common Roots.
Yeah, that's right.
So what kind of genre would you kind of describe you guys as?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's kind of different for everybody, because we try to bring in an essence of like rock and blues and a little bit of soul. Like you'll hear some gospel influences, but normally I just say alternative rock.
Yeah.
Seems to be the easiest way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To encompass everything we do.
It's rock, but it's an alternative.
Yeah, it's an alternative sound. Yeah.
And so as you can see, guys, on your screens in the lower right-hand corner, you guys put out your own album.
Yes, sir.
Satyr Circus.
Yep, so that's the one.
And that was how long ago now?
2 summers ago now, I believe.
Okay.
Well, I think we released it, if my memory serves, like May of 2017.
Awesome.
I guess we would say, yeah.
Are you guys like on iTunes and all that? People can find it?
Yeah, you can look it up on iTunes. You can look it up on Pandora or Spotify. Then a couple other sites I can't remember. YouTube too is on there.
We'll get you all that information.
Yeah, hell yeah, for sure.
So what was actually, I guess we should take it back a step. And usually what I like to do with people to start off is just tell the story of kind of how you got started. What was your influence in music, like we were talking before the show? And for people who don't know, we went to high school together, and I knew you were in band and choir and all that. So kind of give a little bit of an introduction as to what led you to the band.
Just a lot of music and anywhere that I could, you know. A lot of my family is full of musicians. My dad's a drummer.
Really?
My mom's a singer.
So it was in the house.
Yeah, it's in the house.
Good.
It's all around, and it's been something I started with, and so it kind of made sense to go right into music when I got into school. From there, I traveled on. I went to Ithaca College for a couple of years, and I did music performance and stuff. I played tuba at the time, as you probably remember from high school. But, after a while, it just seemed like it just wasn't for me anymore, and I felt like it was time to take a step back. And it just ended up happening where one day a friend of mine, she introduced me to her boyfriend Brian, and just went over there to hang out. Didn't expect anything, but then we ended up writing our first song that night. And then 2 days later, played it at an open mic at the Tramontaine Cafe back when it was open a couple 3 years back.
Really?
And then it just kind of snowballed from there. Yeah.
Brian played.
Brian Lucenti. He's our front man, our lead singer, and our harp player.
Okay.
Which was just awesome. He's got a brilliant mind for lyricism. Like,
really?
The man is a poet. He tells so many different stories and from so many different approaches, and it was cool. And plus, he sings like he was born in a in a world of like gospel and soul. That's where he started a lot. So you can hear that in his voice.
Soul.
Yeah, just got that soul and power in his
Wow.
voice. That was just a really cool fit right away.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so you were playing guitar at the open mic?
Yeah, at that time I was playing that. There was a brief period where I was on keys actually for a minute.
Oh, really?
But I hated it. Man.
You hated it?
I
really?
hated it. Like, I like it. It's fun, but like for what we were doing, I was like, nah, man, I have to have the guitar.
What do you find you get? I feel like it's a little bit more self-expressive on the guitar.
Yeah.
You know, you can jam on the key hard, and if you have different sustain pedals and stuff, it has an effect. But
Yeah, it does.
a guitar, you can really, you know.
And I think it's just more like personal interest. Like somebody who like loves Billy Joel or loves Elton John, they might, or Ray Charles, they might want to really emulate that. And
Right.
I've always tried to emulate that which I admire the most. And for me, it was Dave Matthews. Like just the way he performed on stage, how much fun he had with the guitar in his hand, and still does.
Yeah.
And that just appealed to me so much. So when I was playing this music, I was just like, the keys just makes it seem too hokey. Like it just doesn't feel right. I feel like it needs a little bit of that jazz in
Yeah.
there. And
Absolutely.
so then from there, I just hopped on guitar, and the rest was history. We just put the keys aside and kept going that way.
That's
It just it
awesome.
felt right. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. So you pick up a guitar. You've been playing what, 5-6 years? I think you said.
Yeah, about 6 years now. One day I'd been playing bass guitar for a little while before then, and I always just thought like my fingers were too fat or some shit. You know,
Yeah.
like I couldn't play the guitar because like I didn't have the right hands. But I just picked up a little 3/4 guitar, and I played it for hours upon hours every single day.
Just
for
YouTube videos and
YouTube videos,
persistence.
watching other musicians that I was close with, both in my family and like my personal life with my friends and stuff. And I just tried to glom on what I could from them and develop my own style, I guess.
Yeah.
Not like my own style, but
right. No, it's using what you've learned and kind of molding it into your own personality.
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely, dude.
I think that's what a lot of music is, though. It's a lot of trade-off.
Yeah.
Observing, observation,
It's
and
like
absorbing.
Yeah, and like people will tell me, oh, I don't really read sheet music. I don't really understand theory and stuff like that. And I was like, that's not entirely a bad thing, because you can learn just as much from observing people as you do with a sheet of paper.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's just like there's such a great benefit to just being able to listen to someone.
Absolutely. So the band is relatively newly formed, though. So what was it from the open mic night and you guys playing there that led you guys to reach out? You get some more members and
Yeah, that all just kind of started falling into place. Brian at the time was playing music with a good friend of ours, Colin Jewett, who is a drummer,
Okay.
and he has since moved away to Tennessee. But after that open mic, we were like, "Yo, we really have some potential here. This is some good shit. Like, we could really get a band going or something." Like,
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, who do you know?" And he suggested Colin, our first drummer, and our buddy Andy, which he knew. Brought him in. He'll always say he oversold it. He was like, "It's an audition," and I'm like, "Dude, it's a new band. There's no audition.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
just come in and fucking play."
Yeah.
So Andy came in, and right away it was just a perfect fit. Like he's a deadhead, so he just loves the jam stuff. He likes the psychedelic vibes. It's
Yeah.
just always bringing in those wild, crazy sounds I could never think of. So from there, that was kind of the core of our group for a while, and we've had players come and go, per life, per other projects and stuff like that.
Right.
But Andy, Brian, and I have been in there since I think it was January, coming up on 5 years now.
Oh, awesome.
January will have been 5 years.
So you guys are really you formed a strong musical understanding of each other, and
Yeah.
those styles are working well together.
Yeah, it's just like now we just kind of, it's subconscious. Like we know something's gonna change just by looking at each other or just by hearing it. Like we're so accustomed
Yeah.
to performing together.
Well, that's great, and I'm sure you guys each have your little niche. Like you said, Brian was very lyrical, and then Andy had that good like jam to him, and could keep
Yeah.
that rhythm going. And what do you feel is like your niche particularly?
My
Because you were flowing very well on the guitar. I can imagine picking up. If things get dropped, picking it back up is probably no problem for you, right?
Oh yeah, like I try to do my best. I try to keep the machine running.
Yeah.
For my part as best I can. I always say that they're more like up in the clouds, and I'm a little bit more down to earth in the sense that's like, I do understand the theory and the chords behind it. So I'm just kind of trying to tie everyone's very eclectic, talented views and just putting them all together.
Yeah.
But like I said, major influences are like, Dave Matthews, anything, my dad grew me up on Soundgarden and Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
And
a lot of my favorites.
yeah, a lot of really great bands, and Rush especially. Rush was a really, really big influence. Just how 3 people could create that much fucking sound on a stage.
I know.
It was just unreal. So, that's kind of where I came from. I just kind of glommed off of my family and close people around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's all. Again, we go back to the idea that it's this kind of amalgamation of our life and the people we meet, and it is different when you have a little bit of an understanding of, you know, able to read music and understand the theory. But nobody should be deterred from that. You know, if you have the ability, if you love music and you understand like music that flows well, and you just put a little persistence into it, you can easily train your ear to know, like, if I put my hand here, this is the sound I'm going to get. And I know that, you know, and it's kind of predictive music, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a good lesson that people should always just kind of persevere. And I'm sure you can attest to just a few years in the guitar training and working with it and adapting all this knowledge into your music. It's tremendously, you know, or exponentially getting better, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. So over time, and it just, you know, I'm still learning. There's so many. There's so many elements of the guitar that I have yet to really tap into proficiently. But there is, I feel like sometimes people often limit themselves. They get freaked out by a piece of paper, and it's just something that people should never be discouraged of what they're doing. Like, even if you can do one phrase on a piece of paper, like, that's a victory in of itself. Keep going, keep working off of that. Like, you know, and it isn't everything either. So I feel like some people are like all or nothing. Like, you either need to know sheet music or you can't play the other shit, and that's just not how I see it.
Exactly. It's definitely what do you call a gradient almost?
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
Absolutely.
And I love that. I was one time watching this documentary, and somebody said, I think it was Keith Richards. Somebody was talking about him, and they're like, he knows like 322 chords, and obviously that's not how many there are. But like, when you just start working and you understand it, and you just put time into it, you'll always get better, and you'll discover new things.
Yeah, and just even experimenting.
Yeah,
like sometimes you don't know. Like, I'm gonna put my fingers down. I don't know how this is gonna sound, and then sometimes it's great.
Yeah,
and then you just kind of associate that with whatever key you're playing in or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes you can just play and not even know what the hell you're playing, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's, you know, part, you know, academic learning, but it's also part just what feels good, what sounds good.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is what people get scared on, is if I'm only playing without music.
But that's like some of the fundamental fun behind being in a band and being a musician is really just getting free reign over anything, you know, just jam out, and that's where your best stuff will come.
Hell yeah.
To you, you know?
Yeah, the creativity.
So when did you and Brian and Andy all realize, hey, we're good enough to begin writing our own music, and let's make an album?
We, right from the beginning, I think the idea was we would create our own stuff, because we brought a couple of songs to Andy when he first came in, and he was like, wow, this is really cool. Let me put this on it. And he just threw something wildly psychedelic on it. I'm like, that is cool as shit. We got to keep that going. So I think like right away we were like, eventually the goal was an album. One time, I think it was about a year later, we recorded an EP with my dad. Actually, my dad's a sound recording engineer too, so he set us up in his cabin out in Saratoga, and we just threw out a 5-track EP. You know, comparatively to now, we don't want anyone to hear it, because we feel like it was more for us than it was for anybody else. But it was still really cool to be able to hear that in print. Yeah. And go, okay, you know, we have a lot to work on, but that is cool as shit. We got to keep that going too.
Definitely. It's your own creation.
Yeah, exactly.
You get so much fulfillment out of that.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, it takes a lot of work, but you know, a song at a time, you're developing more material that wasn't there before.
Right.
And it's crazy, like, you know, podcasts like this too, like no one's ever done it quite like this before,
right? And not like, in the area.
Exactly. And so it's just like you're setting a trend,
and when you bring in like-minded individuals who can kind of, you know, help feed that, I finding just even the community of the people who I've had on, and getting more into the local music scene and everything, just the positivity that comes from like-minded individuals who all want to see each other succeed. It's cool that you guys found each other, and you're able to feel that flow and have that same vision and that dream, and say, you know, we can work on it and have these different aspects. Yeah, that is really the coolest part. And that's the thing, like, you know, in the musician community, I just feel like everyone should support each other. It's not a power play. It's not whoever is going to come out on top. It's just, you know, music is great. Let's have everyone share it. And so we, you know, we want to start being able to play on bills with more musicians in the area, just because we have a lot of really good friends and a lot of different artists in the area. And it's just cool to have that interconnectivity with everyone in town.
because
Yeah.
we're in a small town. You know, we might as well find everybody that we can and amass together.
Right,
There's
right.
like more culture here than I think people are willing to let on.
I know,
sometimes.
and I feel like it's definitely blowing up in the recent years.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely the last few years.
The music scene for sure.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better.
So after you make this 5-track EP, what do you do?
Well, after the 5-track, we
How's it turn into
a 13
like
track.
yeah?
I think just taking ourselves a little more seriously.
Yeah.
At first, it was just for fun and enjoyment, and it still is. But I think there was a part of us that was like yearning.
So were you almost like maybe disappointed or?
You know what? I kind of feel like that. I feel like it is. It wasn't like a disappointment because it was still really cool, but it left a lot to be desired for us.
Right, because you recognize your potential.
Yeah, exactly. And we just discovered that, you know, we are destined for, you know, better things. And this was a good way to get the let out and get it started. But we have more work to do. But between the LP and the full album, we had a couple of member changes. You know, just life happens. Some people have to go and do things. So our bassist at the time and our drummer had left. Got a new drummer in, Justin, who was wild and fun as hell to play with. And for a while, we didn't have a bass player. We just kind of said, screw it, we're going to play live anyway. So we ended up going to places like Rochester, Buffalo, Syracuse, Burlington, Vermont, New York City, and just going everywhere and just doing what we could.
Wow.
And writing new music along the way.
Wow.
And that's when we met a buddy of ours, Seth Nathan. He has a studio here called Free Lunch Studios. It's out in Clarks Mills area.
Okay.
And so we ran our first, that was who we went to for the album and stuff. So for a few months, we just sat down and worked with him track by track. And then a few months later, we had our 13-track album and whatever. And it was the coolest experience, man.
Wow, man.
Hopping in the studio like that.
That is cool. I've
Yeah.
never experienced something like that,
No.
but
It's similar to this in this way. It's just like, you know, keeping the mic clean and like, I don't know, just every little thing can be heard. So every little mistake has to be tweaked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
it's a lot of learning.
Yeah,
Definitely.
a lot of learning.
I find that.
And patience too.
Especially in this kind of scenario, I find when I re-listen to myself, going back to the feeling of almost disappointment, it's like I can expect better out of myself. And so even I'll listen to this one, and when I hear myself have those like word fillers, like I'm like, man, or if I say one word too many times, you're always trying to better yourself. You're like, oh, I could have steered the conversation in this direction or whatever. And so I can imagine like when you listen to a song that you've just played or written, and you're like, that's like, we are better than that. That seems like it's not quite there.
Yeah.
And recognizing that is, I think, a good sign to a good musician and a good group is not just settling for, it's good enough and send it and we'll get what we can out of this and we'll do whatever. But you know, you're actively trying to get better. You know?
And that's the goal. And just listening to the crowd too. Like sometimes people are really in it, and then you'll play the next song and no one's paying attention. And you're like, okay, so people don't like that one. That's cool. We'll move on. You know, it's kind of, you know, toughest thing to do is like kind of checking your ego at the door when you go in there. It's like, it's for the love of the music and enjoy yourself, but it's also for the people listening. You know what I mean? And also just finding ways to improve without, you know, getting worried about who's offending who. It's just let's get it better, you know?
And that's a good way to put it. You know, you not so much that you want to pander to the crowd, but you want to play what people enjoy.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the band that just doesn't feel the room, you know? You're
Right,
playing
exactly.
slow dance music at a heavy metal bar or something
Right,
like that.
exactly. And you know, and that's what we try to do. Especially we play cover tunes as well, and they're ones that we, you know, throw throughout our set because like, we have original music and we enjoy it, and a lot of people do like it, but you know, people want to hear other things that they want to hear too.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we have just as much fun playing the covers as we do our originals. So I think that just helps the crowd feel like they're more involved in the experience rather than just watching through the glass, because I just don't think that's fair.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's a
mean?
good way to put it.
Yeah.
So you've been to quite a few venues, it sounds like. What was any of them like particularly really memorable or really bad or anything like that?
God, we've to our credit, I feel like we've only had one show that was just not as good as it could have been, and I'm grateful for that.
That's awesome.
We had one show that wasn't as great, and it was more our playability, not even the place. But I know our favorite show that we've ever played is it's a bar called the Dogwood. It's in Beacon, New York.
Okay.
It's a little bit outside of the city. And I remember a couple years back, we were going to play in the city for a small set, but we went there the night before to play a 3-hour show, and the vibe in there was just fucking incredible. Like, just the way we played, we were all vibing together, the crowd was there, they were all enjoying themselves, we had a bunch of friends come in, and it was just like a super memorable experience.
That's awesome.
We went back again, and we were hoping the vibes wouldn't get worse, and they didn't. They got better. Like, we enjoyed it just as much, if not more,
Yeah.
the second time through. So I would recommend that bar too for their food, for their bar. So if you're ever at the Dogwood in Beacon,
Cool.
or go in Beacon, New York, go to the Dogwood. That's a really cool place to hang.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, definitely.
That's got to give you some reassurance too. Like, you know, everybody jamming like that and having a good time. You're like,
Yeah.
man.
It's like all the stress about the traveling, the setting up, how does this sound, how does that sound? As soon as you start playing and it just vibes, it's just everything
that
just
good.
whitewashes out.
And you're providing something to the community. You're like,
Yeah.
everybody's having a good night. And I'm sure people went home and they remember that night. You're like,
Yeah.
man, that was a good time.
Well, I'd hope so.
Yeah.
That's always the goal. Even if you walk out of there with one more fan, it's,
For sure.
it's one more fan than you had the night before, and you know, just hope that you can keep it rolling.
And a lot of times those smaller bands are the ones that are memorable. Which reminds me, again, a big thank you to Grady Spencer and the Work for letting me use the intro song.
Hell yeah.
Again, another, like, I can't believe how few people know about these guys, and I'm trying to advocate their music everywhere because they're just right out of, I believe, Austin, Texas.
Nice.
You know, they're just still playing dive bars. They're just normal guys. They go to work every day.
Yeah.
And so I'm all for it. And they have 3 albums out, and I have not disliked a single one of their songs.
Yeah,
so.
I'll have to get their music from them because I was listening to that too, and that was cool.
Yeah,
it's got
it's
a
good
really
jams.
Yeah, it's really good jams.
But speaking of like a memorable moment, just not that long ago, I was out in Ithaca for the what was it, like Frost the Lake? It's like some sort of It was like an event they put on where there was 4 bars involved, and you could stop at all 4 of them, and there was music going all day, and there was like
cool.
a shuttle that would run all day too.
Oh yeah.
So like you can go from the up in downtown Ithaca and just listen to music all day at all these different bars. So
yeah.
I only got to see him for a little bit, and then we headed out. But the Swamp Kids, I don't know if you ever heard of them.
It does sound familiar, but I can't tell you.
My God, from the first note this guy sang, the drummer was singing, I was entranced, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So I'm hoping to get out there again, and I'm sure this Thursday we'll be having a good time. Similar moments.
Hell yeah.
We'll get into that here in a second. But
Yeah.
it's when you provide that, it's a good event for you, and you are feeling the music, and you are really loving it. You know everybody else is really loving it.
Yeah.
Everybody's having a mutually good time. And I think that's what the importance of bringing good local music to each other is. You know?
Yeah. No, it's great to have that, you know, in a town where, you know, not a whole lot is going on. It's nice to remind people that there are still fun things to do, not even
Absolutely.
just with our band, but with so many other artists in the area, and, you know, with the emergence of like the new things that are going on in town and stuff, just trying to really revitalize the community.
Yeah.
That connectiveness.
We had Utica Summerfest not that long ago.
Yep,
That was
exactly.
fun.
We have all the Handshake City things, the Downtown Get Down that comes out later this year.
Yeah.
And just,
That'll be cool.
And just having an opportunity to just play music for our town for all the various events that are going on. It's like a huge honor for me. I really love playing anywhere they offer.
Yeah, and now, so speaking of which, this Thursday you'll be over at Saranac.
Yes,
right?
sir.
At
Yes.
the Varanac.
Yep, Saranac Brewery.
Awesome, man. Is this your guys' first time there? or-
Second, actually.
Second.
Yeah, we were there June 21st last year.
Awesome.
It was their summer solstice show. I think it was the first day of the summer solstice, so we like felt the vibes were great there. But
Yeah.
July 18th, this Thursday, and we're pumped for that too. It's going to be an awesome day.
That will be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to play
I
again.
mean, you know, if they're having your back, it turned out well the first time.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
So-
That was really the hope. We were like, we hope that we didn't let them down. And
Yeah.
they seem to like it. We've played Oktoberfest a couple years in a row now too for
cool.
them at the brewery, and that's just an awesome experience to have them ask us to come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're hoping to have just as good of a time as we did last year.
For
and
sure.
just-
Well, I missed you last time, but I'll definitely be there this time.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
That'll be
So
cool to have you
everybody
there.
should definitely be there. Check it out. You know, at 6 to 9, right?
6 to 9. That's the
Yeah.
time.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
So going back to the band, and now that you have this album out, are you seeing like the writing on the wall going forward, or are you just taking the time to process and just play and figure out what the next step is, or what do you think?
I think we're just now starting to get ourselves back on track. The end of last year, we had a couple other members leave us, you know, for their own projects and stuff. So it was kind of like a little bit of a touch up with our vision and like where we were going forward. We ended up getting a couple other members. We've got a guy, Graham Espy, who is playing bass with us, and he's a beast.
Nice.
I love playing with this dude. He's also in another band called Honeysuckle Vine, which is in the area. And I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but
you don't hear the word honeysuckle much, so
nah.
it sounds familiar.
They're really I can't even describe them. Like I heard them live once at Nail Creek. It was the coolest experience.
That's a cool little venue when you get in there, when you have like Nick and Jay, and it's like a personal musical experience.
Yeah,
you know?
the Nick and Jay. Yeah, from Floodwood. They're great.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had Graham come in and help us out on bass, and he's been awesome. And then we recently got our new drummer. Her name is Sarah Mack, and she's rocking the kit.
Awesome.
And she's been in a couple of bands in the area too, and she's a beast.
Yeah.
too. They're both beasts. Like they're both beasts on so it's really.
So you're
awesome.
kind of incorporating the new members and seeing where it's gonna go.
And honestly, it's been awesome. You know, we had the same other members for a couple of years, so we kind of got accustomed to that performing style. So when we started rehearsing with them, it did feel not off, just very different. But now that we're adjusting again, it's always improving. It's always getting better.
It's like a fresh set. you
Yeah,
know?
and it's freaking killer. Like the sound, we're always improving, and having those two hop into the fold with us has been such a like. I'm so grateful to have them with us because they've been so good.
So is the goal to just get more kind of I don't want to say, like increase your venue size and quantity, like more shows, bigger shows, or work on another album, or
that's the goal too. We are trying to develop ourselves into some more material to bust out, because we've even from the album we've changed a lot, and I think our vision personally and collectively have changed, and the new music that we're writing kind of reflects that. So we want to be able to get that out there to show more people. We should hopefully be getting some video audio footage from Saranac though, so that'd be a cool opportunity to post that out if people want to check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
Hear some new things.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you guys have like a lot. It seems like you have a lot going on with the transition of bandmates, and you don't get discouraged. You don't really miss a beat. You just kind of go out and. How are you finding these new people? Is it just by word of mouth, or
kind of word of mouth, and kind of putting it out to the public, just saying like, hey, we're in need of a bassist. Hey, we're looking for someone to slap the skins on drums. Who wants to join us? And that's just kind of how we met both of them.
Awesome.
They kind of wanted interest to come in, and we met with them, we jammed with them, and the rest was history. It sounded great.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, that was kind of how we got it, and it was. The thing is in a small town, musicians are limited sometimes.
Right.
So that was a little nerve-wracking at first, because we were like, oh, I hope we can find people.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the stars aligned and we found them.
Right. And now with it seems like more dense amount of bands than ever in our area. It seems like if they are a musician, they're probably taken.
Yes,
in
exactly.
Another band or something.
And man, we had so many musicians in mind that were all in other exceptional bands in the area too. So we were just like, damn, like we wish we could, but also.
So do you find it maybe a challenge at all when you're trying to like book venues and stuff? Is it kind of like maybe a little oversaturated at times and hard to get in, or do you have any?
Yeah, sometimes it's better to book in certain seasons. Like if you want to book for the summer, try to book in the winter. If you want to book for the winter, try booking in the summer.
Okay.
That's what we found. Sometimes, some venues are more selective.
You just gave away the secret. Now everybody knows.
What? Oh, yeah. Oh, for the booking?
Yeah. Now everybody's going to do it in opposite.
Well, let's just do that then. Do the exact thing.
Just reciprocate.
It's kind of like you want to buy a winter coat in the summer.
Yeah.
That's when it's cheapest.
Yep.
So and that's the smartest time to buy. So
my buddy just bought a snowmobile the other day. I'm like, it's 95 degrees outside.
Why are you going to buy spend $2,000 on a Troy built right now when you could wait until it's snowing, pick one up for half the price?
Yeah,
that's really the goal. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes a lot of people are like, yes, absolutely. When can you? And sometimes they're firmly booked. It's kind of a crapshoot. You just gotta pay attention, I guess, and especially the festival circuit. If you want to get in the festivals,
absolutely,
you need to look at the day of and try to put in your application.
Have you been in a festival yet?
Unfortunately, no. And that's the one thing we're trying to breach into, because we've played the scene a lot, and that's super fun. But we also want to try and tap that market too, see how that is for us. So, we had put in some applications for some festivals, unfortunately, with no success. But it's because the demand is so high and everyone is running in there faster than we are.
Right, and like you said, everybody's so exceptional. It's like,
yeah,
it's not like people are really picking and choosing. It's like everybody who's approaching me is good. It's kind of like probably first come, first serve.
Oh yeah,
you know?
exactly. And it's like any other musician who gets into these places is so worth it anyway. That
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even a pride thing. I'm just like, well, better
Right.
luck next time. We'll get in there.
But it's awesome that you feel that way. And some people might be disgruntled by something like that and like, oh, I can't get in anywhere. These guys are always there, you know?
yeah.
I'm glad that, at least in your regard, and hopefully in more people in the area's regard, it's not that mindset. It's the communal thing.
It's more just like, hey, they're doing what they love and they're loved there and they're well received there, then they should be able to hold that market down. Like it's a respect thing. You know what I mean? Because all the bands in the area are so different. We're so different from all the other bands in the area that it's like, you know, people do what they got to do. People like what they like, and as long as they're happy, that's what really matters.
Exactly, man. And that's what it boils down to. Is this is a form of entertainment, and
Right.
it's an art form, and it's a form of expression, and you know, if I think it's like kind of like a hierarchy of enjoyment. It's like the musician enjoys it the most,
Yeah.
and then you listening get it, and then like if you're in the distance and it's background music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the hardest part, man.
It's a little, yeah.
It's like you're really enjoying something, but then you think about it 3 minutes into a jam. You're like, are the people enjoying this? Or
You're
is
like,
it
oh, I
just
lost
me?
myself. Let me come back.
Yeah, it's just like I'm playing something that I think sounds neat, but people are probably like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes that's the hardest part is, you know, keeping yourself in check a little bit.
Yeah,
Gotta remember
definitely.
that there's people out there.
I just want to try this quick. I just want to make sure. I've been having. Okay, it still sounds good. If that was acting up, I would know. My sound's been off lately. Sorry, folks. And I know when that clip sounds weird, it's staticky. It's staticky in here. But going back to it. Speaking of one of your bandmates,
Yeah.
Andy.
Yeah.
He's not only in the local music scene, but in the local podcast scene.
Yes,
so
he
much
is.
respect.
Yes, hell yeah.
He's the operator and founder of Hidden Jams.
Hidden Jams.
It's kind of like he tied his two loves together. He's just bringing acknowledgement to the local music scene.
Right,
You know?
exactly. And that's his biggest thing. He's just talking to musicians, lovers of music, and just trying to discover where people have come from.
Yeah.
You know, like where did they start? Where are they now? How do they feel about music? What are their influences? And just getting people to hear how much is really going on in the community musically.
Yeah, exactly. And what a cool concept. You know?
It is a really neat one.
And that's what I keep telling people is like, they're like, what made you want to do a podcast? I'm like, name another one in the area. I mean, we look fortunate enough to have the Disruption Network and all those
Yes.
guys, but other than this, and that's why right around the same time I started, he started, and I was like, heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Do it. And I'm hoping to have him on eventually, and we'll do some cross, advertising
Yeah,
with each other and
definitely.
everything. But it's an awesome concept, and that's what I mean. Like, I'm not making any money off this. I just want to tell people about each other's stories and
Yeah.
about your band and your album out, and if people don't know it, go hear it.
Yeah.
And stop out and see you Thursday. And so that's, I don't know, it's the real underlying theme in life is if you just try to maintain just a cynical mindset, and you're always just unhappy with where you are in life and your job, and you just never see the silver linings, it'll just be a gloomy existence.
Yeah, it'll just be a drag, man. Every
Yeah.
single day. Can you imagine? Like, and I used to be that guy too, where you're sitting there at work and you just want to play the guitar and you just feel like it's going to be decades ahead before you can find what you're
Right.
looking for. But even like a small example, like last night we played for Andy's sister. Actually had a birthday party and we played at her house. And that was a super awesome, memorable experience. It
Yeah.
was just the vibe was right. Everybody was amazing. They
It's
were
lighthearted, you know?
and it was just a blast. And it just goes to show that, even those little moments remind you of how fun this stuff is. And like, yeah, you got a job and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
remind yourself that there are cool things that you can do that you can enjoy. Not even just
Right.
music, obviously, anything.
And if you spend your days just locked in your own shell at work and you're not thinking about, maybe, hey, go ask that person that you work with. If you don't know much about their life or anything, maybe they know music and you can chat with them, and
Yeah.
suddenly you're learning from each other,
Exactly.
I hate seeing people who get into a bubble. I see people, you probably get this if you work you work at over at Big Apple now, but
Right.
in the larger work areas, there's like even cliques there. People talk to each other, people eat lunch together.
Yeah.
And it's like very high schoolish sometimes. And it's like, if you were to just break out of your shell, I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, how's it going? I don't mind. I'm just like a social butterfly because there's something to learn from everybody.
Yeah.
You can get an experience, a funny conversation, a memory, a story. It all, I mean, there's just so many paths to take. You could listen to so many people, and
Yeah.
why just sit in your own head?
Yeah.
You
I mean, that'd get boring as hell for me. If I
Yeah.
were stuck in my own head, I'd be bored as hell.
I'm sure you get a lot of inspiration for songs and stuff from
Oh, yeah.
people and
Oh yeah, for the little intro tune I did, it's called Ohio, and that was actually a story with Andy. There's a town Ohio New York, up above Poland, Newport area.
Right. Yeah.
And one day he was just like, hey, I want to take you to this cool fishing hole I got. No big deal. Like, nothing crazy. And I'm like, all right, cool. So I show up in just like regular pants and like nice shoes and whatever. And we show up there and he's like, okay, we got to walk across this river. And it was like Arctic at the time, like the Arctic runoff. So it was like, I was like, are you kidding me? I don't have anything. So I was like walking through barefoot and it was just like nothing I experienced. Among a bunch of other things, almost got swept down the current. But that whole day was me breaking out of my shell because I was that guy in the bubble. At a certain point.
Yeah.
And I was running out of creativity, running out of things to say or think about. And I didn't like that. But that was actually a good hinging point for me to realize, like, hey, I'm limiting myself. Stop worrying about what everyone's going to think about what you're doing and just do it.
Wow.
And that's kind of where Ohio came from. It was kind of a rebirth for me in a sense.
Yeah. And like a self-awareness moment.
Yeah.
Where you're like, take a step back and really look at the picture.
It's like, I can do this. I can walk across a river. Like, I'm not the dude who would ever really go and do that. And I actually just went for it. I was like, screw it, let's just do it. And it was a blast. It just reminded me of how much more there is to do out there.
Absolutely. And I'm all for it. And I used to be, I used to have a lot of anger in me, and I was just always lashing out. And eventually, like, I think going away to college kind of helped me step away from that, and it was, again, a self-awareness moment where once I realized what somebody who really has it rough goes through, I'm realizing my situation's pretty good, and I'm in college right now, and I'm able to pay for it, and I'm taking advantage of all these avenues for me,
Right.
And it was just, it's like incremental. When you first realize the problem, then you can step back from it, and you can start to change. And I was kind of the same way. I was in my bubble all the time, and I didn't want to take too many risks. And then I began doing it. So, I went skydiving, and now,
Nice.
I'll do anything. I bought a Harley, and I'm just all for living life now and the thrill of it and the experience and the memories. And I don't like to be the person sitting inside on a nice day. I'd rather be out on a back road somewhere lost, or, out in taking a trip or whatever it is.
Just anything. Just branch you out of your comfort zone. If
Absolutely.
it feels uncomfortable, probably should go do it. And that's the thing. Like, my girlfriend is saying we're gonna go skydiving, and I'm terrified of
Do
heights.
it.
But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, the scariest part is right before. I would think, and then once you jump, it's like all the fear goes away.
It's like pretty terrifying.
You're like, actually, no, it's scary as hell.
It's pretty terrifying. They lift the door up and they tell you to put your foot on this little platform, this little silver thing, and it's like big enough for half of a foot, and they want both yours and the guy you're strapped to's foot on it. And I'm like, okay.
All right.
And you're leaning out, and then you look down, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna fall. And then you get that feeling of just like falling down a roller coaster, but then it like keeps going, and you're like, all right, is this still happening? And then you're like, all right, it's still going.
It's
and
like,
it
I'm
feels
not
like forever.
Oh, I believe it.
And then they pull it, and you yoke up, and you're like, wow, that was crazy. And then he hands me the thing. He goes, put your arms out and grab these. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, puts his hands out in front of me, and I'm like, oh no, wait, I didn't get certified. I didn't. What are my credentials to hold these
like,
straps?
I don't have a license for this.
What am I doing with these, man?
Yeah.
He goes, just pull them, and you get flying around. It was a crazy experience, but one of the best ones I've ever had.
Yeah.
And if you go to the Skydive CNY, it's a beautiful sight because you have the Finger Lakes on one side, and you can see it, and you're 10 to 11,000 feet in the air, so you can see like the Finger Lakes in the distance. And it was a perfectly clear day when I went. And then you can see what would that be? Lake Ontario.
Oh,
in the other distance. That's how far you could see.
That's crazy.
Like huge. You can just see like the horizon is just blue, and then you see like little slips of blue on the horizon. And you're like, whoa! It was awesome. Just jump over that farmland. I totally recommend you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to. I just got to muster up the strength, but I think that mustering up is half the problem. I think I just need to go, okay, let's go. Let's do it.
What's one thing that you probably wouldn't do? Like, regardless of trying to get out of the comfort zone.
Oh, God, probably wouldn't do. At risk of nothing else coming to mind, owning a tarantula.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know, things like that. Like, it's like somebody's like, oh, I have a pet spider. And I'm like, don't want to see it.
Don't even want to be around you.
No.
You probably got spider hairs all over you,
Yeah,
and you're going to get them on me.
And they're just like, oh, they take naps with me. And I'm like, you're fucking nuts.
Yeah,
like,
you're
what do
crazy.
you...
Until it goes...
Yeah, it's like, no thanks. Like, oh, man, I don't know.
I'm terrified of spiders, man.
I'm sure I could do things if I were coaxed into it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Nothing comes to mind.
You know, I had Kevin Hohen on, Dr. Kevin Hohen a few weeks ago, and he, at 60, climbed 20,000 feet up Everest to, I believe that was the Nepal side. I would not do that.
No, no.
I would not. And he's like just talking about the hardships of it. And I'm a hiker. Don't get me wrong. I like being outdoors and everything, but just.
Well, there's a lot more risk involved in that too, and
Yeah.
like respect to people who do that. Holy
Oh
cow.
my God.
Because it's like it gets dangerous.
And going up toward the top now, and it's just, with all the permafrost melting more than ever, there's just all these bodies exposed.
Yeah.
You know, and
Oh yeah, the bodies and stuff. I've heard about that.
They,
How scary.
you can't take them down because
No.
there's, and then they're frozen solid. You know, like,
and so
and they don't decompose.
oh, that's
It's just
horrifying.
literally like.
It is. It's kind of it's horrifying in its own way. It's a huge reminder of like where you are.
It's like a mausoleum of
of the people who've tried.
Yeah.
And like didn't make it. And as a person who passes that point, that's got to be a jarring experience.
Oh
Like,
my God,
another
yeah.
human being couldn't make it.
And we were
farther.
talking about how many people, and it's just so cluttered now, and they have companies trying to lower the price to go from like 80 to 30,000, and then all these people want to go, and there's only a 3-week window, so they're trying to, like, really there's only a 3-week window where it's not crazy up there
Right.
before like monsoon season and everything. So that you get all these people wanting to go, and then they're trying to force, you know, I believe you said only usually about 1,000 people will reach the summit in this amount of time. This year, 800 people went in 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you get a line of people, and everybody wants to see the top, but
Yeah.
you have to be done by like 2:00. He said, otherwise you'll get caught in the overnight. It gets crazy, I guess, again.
Oh, I can imagine.
And so you have people like 11 people died already, just from when we had the podcast. There could be more, you know. Well, I guess
Wow.
not because hiking season's probably over.
Isn't that crazy? It's just
yeah.
like it's like almost like a commercialized thing,
Yeah.
but it's just like, hey, this is a commercialized thing, but you could die. Just saying, like you
I
could
know.
die.
It's like literally lines, like it's an amusement park ride to the top of the
Yeah.
highest point on Earth.
I'm scared enough of certain roller coasters. Like, can you imagine like something that you could die from?
And you're like usually strapped to the people in front and back of you, and you're like, yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, no, that's an absolute no for me.
And like you saw one person die, and 10 more of you were like, okay.
And it's just like one is off the back, and you're like, all right, we keep marching on. It's
Yeah.
like, what kind of a scenario?
Oh my
is
God!
this? But a huge testament to like people got balls
It's
for doing.
Oh my God! Yeah.
because I don't have the cojones to do that.
I know, and that's why there's only been a couple thousand people to ever do it, and
Yeah.
that's you got to be a new breed. You got to be a special type of person.
Yeah, special,
That's crazy.
strong ass type of person. I couldn't for
Yeah,
that. No
yeah,
way.
That's nuts. So did you feel maybe joining the band was kind of a form of stepping out of your comfort zone?
Oh, definitely,
Big time.
definitely.
Is that one of the reasons you did it?
Yeah, part of it was, it was part music and part. I was always an awkward kid. I felt I was an awkward kid. Like I did
Same.
stuff, but putting myself in a social situation like that was a little bit jarring at first because I was used to being in symphony orchestras and bands and stuff. So I was one of many. I contributed to the sound, but there were so many of us.
Right.
But then going to a band unit where it's 5 of you and each one of you is very integral and important, just more, it's more singular in
Yeah.
that way. So you have a spotlight, for lack of a better word, on you. So that was me breaking out of my shell and not being ashamed of what I enjoyed and what I wanted to create.
Yeah.
There was a lot of times where I had a lot of material that I was like, oh, this isn't any good. Like, nobody's going to like this. And then I played it and they were like, what the hell are you talking about? That's great.
Right.
And it's just like I feel like people don't give themselves, and I didn't give myself enough credit to be like, just do what you want.
That is a great point. You
Yeah.
know, people have to be. You can't be afraid to take chances, you know?
No.
And just like with this, like I had thought about doing a podcast for a while, and I had the name, and I'm like, is it a good name? And I had these ideas, and I'm like, how would I do it? Does anybody really want to hear me talk? Still to this day, I'm like, does anybody really want to hear me talk? Whatever.
I mean, I think
But
it's a great idea, though.
I love it.
Hell
And,
yeah.
you know, if nobody wants to listen, that's fine. But I'm doing it for the people who come on. I'm learning from it. I'm growing from it.
Yeah.
I believe in my message and the stories that I'm sharing.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have, it was honestly one of my buddies, Bowie, who I had met at work, and he just said he has a podcast, and he kind of guided me. He's like, dude, you have to do it. If you believe in yourself, do it. He's like, I'm coming over Sunday, and we're going to do it. Came over, we were here for like 6 hours working
Hell
on
yeah.
it, dude, just setting it all up. And I'm like, and he just got me so motivated in myself.
Yeah.
So sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah.
It's just somebody to like kind of believe in you, and like you presented your music to your bandmates and the people who want to listen. They're like, wow, that's really good. You got to be able to take that leap. You know, you got to believe in yourself. Write it down.
Exactly.
If you have book ideas, song ideas, if you write poetry, even if you don't think it's good, the fact that you have the initiative in your soul to do it in the first place
Yeah.
is a sign that you have something good in there, you
right.
know?
And honestly, who gives a shit if somebody doesn't like it? And
Yeah.
that was my thing too. I was afraid of people not liking it and discouraging myself, but it was just like, if I enjoy it, if I'm having fun with this,
Absolutely.
to, you know, if I feel like this is bettering my life in some way, why shouldn't you pursue that?
Right.
You know what I mean? The rest will take care of itself as it's meant to, and people won't like you. People will.
And I think that's a very innate thing in us. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's coincidence that certain people who are good at basketball also love to be in the gym shooting 3-pointers for hours.
Right.
And they just get off on watching it go in, you know, and they love
Yeah,
it.
it's that
And
satisfaction.
I don't think it's, man, sorry, I got a horse.
Oh, no, you're fine.
Here, get another water. I don't think it's coincidence that people who like music a lot learn to play it and also usually write. A lot of people write, you know, even those who are in bands and say they don't write, they have before, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They try and they just probably don't go through with it or something. I think that's something internal in us, and it's almost genetic probably, that each of us has our niche,
Yep.
our little thing, and it's
Yep.
kind of being activated. And when we have that stimulus somewhere in our life and it activates it and we begin adapting it and unraveling those tangles, and
Yep.
I think if you are, like I said, if you are already thinking in yourself like, oh, that would be a cool lyric, or that'd be a cool line in a song, oh, what if it went like this, or if you have rhythms in your head, if you have stories like, oh, this would be a cool idea for a show,
Yeah.
write it down, do it, just execute it a little bit, give it a little thought,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because I think there's something in you that wants to come out. That's your sign, you know.
Yeah, it exactly is. Everybody's got a calling. Everybody's got something that they love, or something that they enjoy. And it's just, like you said, taking that leap, not being afraid of what other people think of you. Just go for it. I mean, the rest will take care of itself. But at the end of the day, you know, you go to bed with yourself in a way. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
in a weird
definitely.
way. So it's like, you know, take care of yourself. Take care of what makes you happy. You know, if you show passion, people will enjoy what you're doing, because it matters if you're enjoying it. Don't be afraid of it.
That's true, and confidence is key.
Yes,
for sure.
absolutely.
You know, and if you believe in what you're selling, others want to buy.
Yep.
So
that's the damn truth, my friend. Yeah.
yeah,
for real.
definitely. Man, this is killing me.
It's a horse day.
I know. So, so Dave Matthews, pretty big influence for you.
Oh yeah, he's the big one.
Stem from your parents, probably, or
Yep, mom and dad.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny. Like I said, my dad listened to Rush and Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, and then Dave Matthews was thrown in there
yeah,
too.
a little grunge, a little.
Yeah, a little grunge, a little alternative. Just he gave me a little every piece of the pie, so I got exposed early. But Dave, especially in my later years, I started to develop a lot more interest in just the way he composed his music, how wildly weird he is, and
Yeah.
how he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
The man just goes out there.
yeah,
Yeah, and
like-
he'll just sit there doing this. How about and like
Yeah.
nobody cares.
That was good.
Literally nobody cares, and it's like they love it. And it was kind of cool too, because my cousin Liza, she actually works in the company that books his shows.
Really?
And so I've been like getting jealous of her, because she was like, "Oh yeah, Dave came into the shop one day and just pet my dog. It's no big deal." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, no big deal."
Rub it in.
I'm like, "That's like my musical idol. Can I meet the guy?" No, but it was cool. Have a small world. She said that she used to actually hang out with him during his tracks days,
Wow.
like in the very early days when he was, because she lives in Charlotte. And that's where he was living after he got home from South Africa or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
But aside from that, just from the jealousy thing there, but like
yeah.
he's just, I love how unapologetically himself he is. I guess if
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
It just-
totally.
It's just his music it hits people on so many different levels. But I also love his polarity. People either love him or they hate him.
That's true.
There's like rarely I guess so.
Yeah, he's all right.
It's like, no, there's either like the hardcore fans or the hardcore haters.
That is true.
And I think that's almost like the coolest scenario ever as
Yeah.
a band. Knowing,
It's like half the people get it.
and half the people don't want to get it,
Yeah.
or just get it and hate it, you
Yeah.
know. And that's the
Yeah.
and that's the crapshoot too. Just with anything, you know, like somebody might love this idea but absolutely hate it. Somebody else might hate it.
Just
But-
choice.
Yeah.
You can have whatever you want, but
Yeah.
I think, like you said, maybe it's kind of going over their head, or they just choose to hate it because it's like, I think people look at Dave maybe as a little bit more mainstream, but he's really not, you know?
Yeah, no, he's not.
Just because of, what's his biggest song? I can't even think of it. Crash Into Me.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that on the radio, and that's like, all right, his mainstream song.
It's like
Every-
one of them.
Everybody knows it, and then they get the Dave Matthews sticker on Amazon for $2.99 and throw it on the car.
Yeah,
you know, and then they're a Dave fan.
Yeah, you know. Then they got and then you see the stand up what is it called?
The Fire Dancer.
Fire Dancer. You see them and you're like, okay,
yeah,
Dave,
I have a shirt over there I made with the
Oh,
Fire
really?
Dancer on from
Awesome.
one of the concerts I went to. It's back, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's going into the deep dives on artists. That's where you got to go.
Right.
Like, the popular songs are popular and they're
My
good.
favorite song of his is Big Eyed Fish.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Big Eyed Fish. Hell,
I
yeah.
love that song.
That's a great song. Good message too.
It took
behind
me, I heard it one day, and then it took me like 6 months to find it. I would just like, every time I put on Dave Radio, I'd be like, next, till I maxed out my nexus.
Yeah.
Then I listen, and I'm like, all right, next, you know.
Yeah, I like Busted Stuff is like one of my
That's a good one.
favorites of his.
Or
Or
Trippin' Billies. So many.
there's so many. There's like Raven. There's a Pig is another really good
Pig,
one
yeah.
of his.
That
And
is
they're
a
the
good
ones that people don't normally listen to.
Yeah.
But no, he's wild.
I know. And every time I've gone there, I've had such a good time just watching him on stage.
Yeah,
You know.
he's having fun. Like you can just tell.
The environment
there
there is eccentric and electric. It's
I've heard it's gotten better over the years too.
Yeah.
With some, their recent transitions with members and stuff like that. I've
Yeah.
heard that their shows are even better than they were already.
yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't been in probably 3 years, so
Yeah.
we'll have to get out to one.
I was telling you, man, it's been like 8 years, and like I feel it's sacrilegious as a fan to
As
say
a
I
big
haven't
fan.
seen him in a while.
Yeah.
But the stars will align one day.
Well, he took that 25-year anniversary break off. That was the last time I saw him, the 25-year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what a good way to
I
see him
know.
the last time, honestly.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
It was tremendous.
But I mean, Dave and Tim have been in Canandaigua a lot too, so I'm like hoping to at least see them too. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome.
But,
Any other, other than those interests, are there any influences? Are there like local big influencers on your music
yeah,
career?
yeah. Honestly, there's a couple of bands in the area that I really admire. One of them is the Old Main.
Yeah.
They're an Americana group. I don't know if you've
I've heard them.
They're wild. They've been at Saranac a bunch of times,
Mm-hmm.
and right when OCR started playing, they really supported us and helped us through those beginning stages. And I'm super grateful to those guys because they've been nothing but great to us, and we just love their music.
That's great.
And hanging out with them. Other bands like Ryan Matter, Remsen Social Club. Jack and the Jukebox, all wildly eclectic and different in their own ways, but so much inspiration just from hearing what they do, what they love,
Right.
and just picking their ear,
Right.
or picking their brain rather than not picking their ear.
Yeah.
But pick their brain, just say, hey, why do you do that, or how do you approach this?
Right.
And that's the interconnectivity part. We all help each other. We're all supporting each other.
You've all put on those miles, but on different roads.
Yes, exactly.
And so you're like, hey, anything you can give me a tip?
Yeah, and even if we're in the same market, who cares? It's just all about the love of music. And
Yeah.
it's like nobody wants to step on anyone's toes, and we're all doing this for our own enjoyment, but nothing wrong with making a few friends along the way.
Absolutely.
But
yeah.
there's plenty of really awesome bands in the area that are worth checking out always.
Yeah, and it goes a long way to be, encouraging each other like that.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, definitely.
There's another question. So the introduction, not the introduction, I guess it was the pre-video we made, and I posted on the Lost Guidance Instagram and Facebook. So that was one of the ones you said that you had actually written yourself, and it had a pretty heavy Dave influence in the sound of it. And
Yeah, because I was. Oh, go ahead.
No, where did that come from?
Oh, well, yeah, I was listening to. I think I mentioned it earlier. I just went on that wild experience up north with Andy, but I had listened to the song. I'm really horrible right now for not remembering the exact Dave tune, but I was listening to Dave that day, and I was just loving it. It was like a really chill summer vibe. The way he was playing it was just like super groovy, and I was just like, I feel like not exactly that, of course, because I hate copying, but it's just like kind of take the essence from that and put it into how that experience made me feel. And so I don't often, like, Brian is the lyricist through and through. Like, he's the guy that I go to if I'm like, hey, I've got this musical idea. This is how I feel. And you'll be like, okay, give me 20 minutes. You know what I mean? And you'll come back with something really cool. But this was one of the couple that it actually spoke to me in a way that I did feel like I could write. Because often I'm more of like, I like to compose the chord structures and how the song progresses. But a lyricist, I don't often find that I am. But it ended up being a really great song. It's a good summer feel. People enjoy it. It is on the album.
Yeah.
If people listen to it, it's called Ohio.
Yeah.
I do that one, and then another one called Headhunter, which is a lot more of a punk punk rock vibe about, at the time I was having relationship issues, dating problems, you know how it goes.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of bands are like, this is about a girl who dumped me. But it's true. I was pissed. And I was like,
Cure.
I was like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, I'm just going to write this song because I'm mad. And it sounds happy, but the words are just like, y'all suck.
Yeah.
And obviously, life experiences change your outlook, but it's still, it's fun. And that's really half the fun from music is you listen to a song and you go, God, I was so different back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it applies. Life is cyclical. And you're ups, you listen to the up music, and you're downs, you listen to the down music.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody has their own like go-tos, like, oh, I'm so angry. Let me put on this song,
Yeah.
And, you search the YouTube and you're like, oh man, it's a good time to listen to this jam. You know?
Exactly.
So I think that's, again, it's kind of a reflection of who we are and what we're putting into it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about reflecting and just, for some people like to bottle up the bad things that happen to them, and that's totally normal to like not want to talk about it. But especially in anything, in art, in dance, in podcasting, in music, just express how you're feeling. You don't have to put it into words. Just do what you enjoy, and you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah,
writing those songs
and
helped
that
me.
chest feeling you get, folks, is is the sign. That's like something
Yeah.
telling you to keep going.
It's like your heart starts racing a little bit.
Like I don't get much gratification if I shoot a basketball and make it. Like I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool. But
yeah,
like,
same.
you know what I mean? If I write something or I don't know, it could be anything. If I just build something or accomplish something,
Yeah, exactly.
I just get that like, oh yeah, that was good. Give me some more of that.
Yeah, and it's
Heck
like
yeah.
you're like nervous as hell when you're doing it or something like, and then all of a sudden you realize all that hard work actually did work.
Yeah.
and whatever you were doing works, and you're like, hell yeah, that does drive you to just keep going.
And like even last night, I had a Broken Rule and Kicking It, two bands playing at the Verona Country Music Fest. They were like, asked me to bring them on stage, and I was nervous as hell. And I'm like, there wasn't particularly thousands of people in the crowd or anything. It was a smaller crowd.
Yeah,
and it was a small stage, and I mean, there's nothing to be nervous about. But I was like, man, I really don't want to mess up.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
even
how
if I
it is.
do, what do I care? But
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. And when I left, I was like, wow, that was so awesome. Like, thanks for letting me be a part of that. It just felt great,
Yeah, that's the coolest thing is just being afraid of messing up and then proving yourself wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're in it when you have all the time in the world to think about what you're about to do, it's going to sound like a disaster in your head.
Yep.
But it's just a matter of shutting yourself up, just being like, stop talking to yourself. Like,
Yeah.
and just sit down and do what you got to do.
Absolutely.
And just,
Like, you're not escaping this moment.
no.
So come to terms with it and just relax.
And then you'll be out of it on the other side and you'll be proud of yourself for doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just take that leap of faith, like we keep saying. Just
Yeah.
like take the leap of faith in yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, that's a good piece of advice, but do you have any other good advice to somebody who's trying to start a band or get into an instrument or anything like that?
Yeah, I guess my biggest one for me is don't worry if you suck. If you think you suck, that's okay. Like, don't be discouraged. Don't listen to someone that you idolize and wish you could be them in a way.
Yeah.
That almost holds you back. Like, allow yourself to suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the greatest time for when you learn.
Definitely.
And who cares? And honestly, the other big thing is just don't care what anyone thinks about what you're doing. You can play the weirdest shit in the world, but if you're loving it and you're enjoying it, everything else is going to work out. Just, you can't be afraid to just do what you love.
Totally.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know, beyond all technicality and stuff, just do what feels good, man.
Yeah.
Because really, you waste a lot of time looking at numbers and figures sometimes.
Life is too damn short to not be happy.
You're right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And again, even if you're in a job that's maybe monotonous or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you got to look at the silver linings. You got to take those moments and share a moment, have a cup of coffee with one of your coworkers and just talk about something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just do the little things and say, hey, again, you're not getting out of this moment. I'm going to have to go into that door and I'm going to have to be there for 8 hours and I'm going to have to do it again tomorrow.
Yep.
And you're not being miserable isn't going to make it any better.
Nope, exactly.
If you want to frown all day,
I mean, if you really want to, that's your thing, but it won't help you.
you're probably not getting invited to the Christmas party. That's
no.
for sure.
And if you really hate it that much, find something new then.
Yeah, that's
You
exactly
know?
it.
And
You
that's
can
the
always
thing.
keep looking. New
Yep.
avenues.
There's always plenty of options. I think people are afraid to change, and I was afraid to change. Sat in jobs that I really didn't like, but I felt like I had to be there.
Yeah,
You don't ever have to do that. Just
absolutely.
go for it. Whatever.
I mean, it's the comfort thing, I think.
yeah.
You get so... And the problem with people today, I find, is and I've been guilty of this before, and somewhat guilty of it now, is you live to whatever means you have at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
When you're making $12 an hour, all your bills are paid, and you can live by that, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get a promotion, and suddenly you have more bills, and
Yeah.
and you're just getting by, and you're like, I need more money.
Yep.
And then you're making 20 an hour, and you're like, shit, that was okay, but now I need more money.
Yeah.
And you're only living to that means ever, you know. And
Mhm.
it's like to reset and go to a different career or a different avenue that you'd be happier in, but take a pay cut and have to restart and work your way back up. People are terrified of that.
Yep.
And so they'll rather just rot away, but behind a computer,
Mhm.
IT tech support or whatever,
Yeah.
and they just won't take that leap of faith.
Mhm.
My suggestion is, whether it be a band or an instrument, and you want to start and you think you're going to suck, or if it's a new job and you have to take a pay cut and you think it's going to suck or whatever, do it now. The best time to do it is now, because you'll be building, and then you'll see yourself in a year and you'll be like, wow, look where I am, or 2 years, 3 years.
Exactly.
And I'm so much better. I'm so much better off. I'm happier. And all it took was a little bit of struggle. Or if you wait that 5 years, now it's going to be 5 years prolonged. It's still going to have to happen. Like,
Right.
If you want that true satisfaction, gratification out of life, you got to make that leap. And the best time to do it is now.
Yep. That's the absolute truth, man. You can't be afraid.
Yeah.
You really can't be.
So, one more question. If there was a new Mount Rushmore and it had 4 musicians on it, who would you put?
Oh, geez. All right. 4 musicians. Neil Peart from Rush, one of the best drummers of our time. Freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Matthews, we've been talking about him the whole thing.
Of course.
He's really great too.
He'd be on the Washington side.
He would be on the Washington side. Shoot, 2 more musicians. Who do we got? I could be cheap and just say the 2 dudes from Tenacious D, but I won't do that. Because it's like, I like them, but people be like, Mount Rushmore, though? It'd be like, no,
Jack
probably
Black on Mount Rushmore?
not. Yeah, Jack Black and Kyle Gass. Would
I
that be
would
hilarious?
love that.
I don't know if I vibe with that, but that's what I'm going with at the moment. Probably, what am I trying to say? Probably Freddie Mercury from Queen. I mean, he's got to
Absolutely.
be up there.
Absolutely.
And then, oh man, I feel like people either are fully Billy Joel or fully Elton John, but I'd have to put the John up there.
All right.
Put some Elton John up there.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
4 big influencers.
4 big influencers that I've really enjoyed throughout my life. So, I mean, everybody's different, but
I mean, we can make a mini Rushmore with Tenacious D.
yeah, we could. We should just do just the 2 of them. They have their own.
Isn't that, when's that Indian one supposed to be done? Have you heard about that?
They're, a new album they're doing?
No,
The
the
Indian.
Mount Rushmore. There's what's the big Indian, the bull? Running bull? Squatting bull?
Sitting Bull?
Sitting bull? There it is.
Yeah.
Squatting bull.
Squatting Bull. You're like taking a shit bull.
Yeah, little squatters. It's supposed to be like, I think 4 times the size of Mount Rushmore or something, and
Jeez.
it's him with his war headdress on a stallion, on a horse,
That's
carved into
majestic.
the edge of a mountain, and it's supposed to be like a massive. But I think someone told me one of my buddies went there, and I think he said that they halted making it. The face is done, and his arm like this is out, like he's gonna be holding stirrups or something.
That's freaking wild.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's huge.
Where is this going to be?
Like within a few miles of Mount Rushmore into another mountain face.
That is
I don't know.
crazy.
I should have the exact details before I go spewing nonsense, but
They should start doing
it is. It was on the History Channel years ago, and I remember seeing it. The whole head was done. I'm like, that thing's huge.
I literally never knew that thing existed. That's
Yeah.
going to be majestic. as
Yeah,
hell.
it's awesome. It's pretty cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah, I don't know. A buddy at work gave me that idea. He's like, you should ask people what they would remake Mount Rushmore as.
That's
I'm
pretty
like,
wild. That's a
pretty-
good question.
That's a good one.
Or Abe Lincoln on a T-Rex. You can never go wrong. Abe
That would
Lincoln
be
on a
cool.
T-Rex.
I wish we could do that in like Utah, in one of them big red pillars.
Yeah.
You just breach the mountain, the
Can
hill.
you imagine?
Just Abe Lincoln on a T-Rex.
I would just be like, what the f are they doing?
I
That'd be
would
great.
just park an RV camper there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! And before we we have whatever time we want, but we are over our hour, and
Oh, yeah.
it's hot as hell in here.
Yeah.
But have you heard this Area 51 thing?
No, you know what? I keep seeing it, and it's driving me nuts. What is
yeah.
it about?
All right, so you saw? Have you seen on Netflix the Bob Lazar documentary? Bob Lazar, Flying Saucers in Area 51.
I just watched that.
Just watched it.
Yeah.
Pretty well made.
Yes.
Overall.
Really excellent.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And I had vaguely known about these stories just from like my relatives and stuff telling me
Mm-hmm.
about just Bob Lazar and how he went. And basically, at the time in the 80s when he got hired, he was hired to reverse engineer the propulsion systems of one of the 9 alien spacecrafts that supposedly existed there.
Right, yeah.
And he was afraid. They were following him, and he was afraid. And this is for people who don't know. And so he like went to the news. He went to the media, you know. Anyway, it kind of like went underground, subsurface for years, and people kind of forgot about him.
And he didn't want to talk about it either. He was always afraid of that.
Very
too.
afraid of it.
That way. Yeah.
So this documentary just gets made. Then he goes on the Joe Rogan podcast, and
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
This is like he has way more details on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's talking about like going to, that was on the podcast, going into the alien spacecraft, and about how he's like it's the most eerie feeling. It's like it's this 3-foot tall craft. You have to like get down and like peek your head in. And he's like, I didn't recognize a single thing except for what I knew to be a hatch in the floor, to where I could peek my head down and look at the engines, like these cylinders or power, you know?
Yeah.
And there's no wires. He said it's all just through waves of gravity, which we don't even know how to make yet.
That doesn't even make sense.
We
But it's awesome.
Yeah. So he's
cool.
like, I couldn't recognize anything. There was just these 3 little chairs built for like 3 6-year-olds right next to these 3 like propulsion motor things. I forget what he referred to them as, generators or something.
Yeah, they were like anti-grav generators.
And he's like, there was
something.
no curve, no edges anywhere. It was all perfectly smooth. There was not one edge.
That is
And he's like, it was all one color. He's like, you would just tell none of it was from our world immediately by looking at it.
Can you imagine, dude?
And anyway, it just melts my brain listening to this guy, like
Yeah.
the shit that he says, and it's like crazy. But anyway, he gives this crazy interview, and I suggest you watch the Joe Rogan thing because it's just so
Definitely.
much detail. And so someone starts a Facebook page. Let's storm Area 51.
Okay, all right.
Made by somebody who thought it was a joke. 400,000 people signed up.
No way.
400,000 people. It's like more now, I'm sure. Like 400,000
I
people.
bet.
And some people are like, get that it's a joke. Some people do not get that it's
some people
a joke.
are really gridding up.
There are people who are going to go there
Yeah.
to the most secure thing that the United States has, other than the White House, I bet, or
Yeah.
the president.
Seriously.
You know, and you're going to drive or run or
What? Because they have surveillance everywhere.
yeah. There's a 13-mile perimeter of desert before you
Yeah.
even get to the thing.
Yeah, and they'll stop you. But like, if you're even thinking about stepping over the line, they're
Yeah.
there in droves.
The last guy who did it got shot. They killed him.
Yeah.
They killed him. Openly admitted it.
Yep.
Shot him.
They were like, "Yeah, we did it," because they're protecting something there.
Nuts.
But it's just like 400,000 people storming Area 51. I can't imagine how that would go well.
Yeah. So Lazar issued a statement today, and he was like, please do not do this. I get that it was a joke, but some people think it's true. He's like, let me tell you, Area 51 does not hold aliens or alien technology. That was only S4, and S4 probably got moved, or if not, they have moved it by now.
Yo, yeah, definitely.
If you wrote the start date on Facebook, September 20th, 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, so if anything, they're going to be prepared.
They're
for
going to
it.
be ready. They're going to have the fucking National Guard there probably.
Yep.
Around the whole border.
Mhm.
And yeah, it doesn't seem like a smart idea.
No, it sounds like a terrible
It's
idea.
pretty crazy how
It's-
much it's escalated.
It's
though.
hilarious though. Like, I have seen all the memes, and I'm sitting there going, I must have missed something, but like clearly I did. But
yeah.
people,
You can find the page. It's just, I think it's called Storm Area 51.
I can't believe that, dude.
People are dumb.
I mean, people are dumb, but people also want answers.
I get
Damn
that.
it,
I
we
get
deserve
that.
the truth.
I get that. And you know what? If you guys haven't seen it, you need to watch that documentary
Yeah, it's
and
really
the Joe Rogan interview, because the details he gives are so. He is just with such conviction. I cannot deny anything he's saying.
Yeah. I mean, even watching the Netflix one, I'm watching him, and I'm just like, he's talking about this like he just told me what he had for breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, that's way too common affect to be bullshitting.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know what I mean? That was crazy.
And if you think that we're the only thing in this entire universe, you're a little bit naive.
Yeah.
So
That's the truth.
I do think there are answers that we need to have. I think there are technologies we need to have. I think if one country, I don't know if there are alien space programs in other countries, but you really only hear about America and Area 51.
Right.
If we're the only country trying to learn this technology and use it, we'll be the only one to weaponize it, and suddenly got a problem.
Yeah.
And if you don't have everybody on a mutual understanding of, hey, let's work toward just using it for travel and advancement of society, if you don't have everybody on an equal playing field, it's going to off shift pretty quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The balance is going to tilt. So that's going to cause a pretty volatile situation in the world. So I'm thinking like you hear people like Tom DeLonge from Blink-182.
Yeah.
And he's like supposed to be like this liaison of alien information. And then you have this stuff coming out. I think this stuff is coming out intentionally. I think if the government wanted to shut all this shit down, they would shut it down. It's the government.
Oh yeah.
They would say, hey, that documentary is definitely not coming out on Netflix.
Yeah, yeah.
Or we're going to come after you and shut down Netflix.
And see, that's the thing that confuses me. It's like I want to believe this stuff, but it's just like you would think, like, yeah, like.
I think I think we're working toward. I think something in our lifetime in the next few years is going to be. I think it'll be plattered. I think it's going to say they're going to say, all right, you remember all these stories you've been hearing and all this. It's true.
Yeah.
Here's what we have. And I think that's the moment we're waiting for. And
yeah,
they just need to be not even about everything. We don't need to know exactly how the weapon systems or propulsion systems works.
No.
Leave that to the scientists in charge of it,
Right.
But just tell us, like, we have alien craft. There is life somewhere else. Like,
right.
Give people that.
And it's just like, yeah, just give people that. I feel like they're afraid of mass hysteria. I think that they're just afraid of people like thinking we're all gonna die.
It's religion, honestly.
And, yeah, or just the religion thing too. But I feel like at the end of the day,
I think you look at just like racial and gender tensions right now.
Yeah,
that's with our own species.
Yeah, of course.
In one area.
Yeah,
mostly just a few countries dealing with this stuff.
Right.
You try to throw the fact that there's distant people things far away doing way crazier shit, flying to our galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's not typical Sunday
and
talk.
Lazar mentions it, like, if he said, I think this was on the interview, he said they knew that they told him that one of the spacecrafts was from Alpha Centauri, like a neighboring 65 million light years away or something.
Yeah, the nearest one or something.
And he's like, I'm not sure how they got that. Maybe that was information they gave him so that if he leaked it, they would know where it came from.
Right.
But if it is from there, and that's like a binary star system, 2 suns, and you have now heavier gravitational pull and heavier elements, and they have elements that could stabilize quicker and easier, they could have we started with the steam engine. Maybe they started with flying through space, and maybe they have. You don't know. You don't even know what their capabilities are.
And that's what's the most terrifying thing is, because it could be anything. Like where we're at now might be child's play to a civilization thousands of light years away that's been doing this for hundreds of thousands of years.
Like we could just be the science experiment that they're checking up on every so often.
Yeah.
And they're probably here all the time. Just a few of them crashed, a few gone wrong.
Well, I mean, geez, we can get into the whole lizard people thing too. That stuff is hilarious.
I know.
Some of them is great. Like they had a list. I remember at the list, there were random people, and then they were like Chris Christopherson. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, he's a lizard person? Like, oh man, there's so many conspiracies. But I think they kind of the government likes those conspiracies, because I feel like even if people are sort of touching on the truth, it's not enough of the truth for them to be scared about it.
Right.
So it's like kind of like, here, let people think that.
Well, the thing is, when you have wackos in the world, like, I got abducted by mole people. And, it's like easy to discredit anybody who has real information.
Right, exactly.
Like, all right, yeah, okay, mole man.
But then there's people like Bob Lazar who's just like, yeah, so I did this thing. And,
right, and to see that they tried to wipe him off the face of the earth, basically.
Yeah,
and
they did.
I'm pretty sure he still doesn't have his college degrees anymore. Like, they took him, and I don't think he ever got him back.
They erased him from all the records.
Yeah.
And, like, the people got pretty irritated when they pursued it. They were like, no, it's a real thing. He was there. And, like, they did not want to reveal he was there.
And he's a very intelligent person, which is, like, I think the most convicting thing of his documentary is, like, you believe him because he knows what he's saying.
Yeah, you know what he's talking about. So
just
discrediting out of fear is what it seemed like in its own way. So it was a really interesting one.
It is crazy.
I would recommend watching it, definitely.
I just think that, not that I obviously don't like to make this a political or religious podcast. I just think if people were to learn about something like that too quickly, it could offset some shit,
Yeah, but sometimes things get a little bit dicey before they clean themselves up. So
moral of the story is, though, if these 400,000 people really go,
they're going to die.
I think we're going to be better off without them.
Yeah.
Probably natural selection.
Yeah, it's probably not the best way to go about getting what you want.
Yeah, my God, people.
So if you're planning on doing that, don't do it. Like, think about it for a minute.
Yeah, definitely live stream it if you're there. But like, I'm going to tell you not to go, but like if you go, live stream it.
Yeah, don't go, but I want to watch. Like, but don't do it.
don't do it, but if you do it, let me watch.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, man, this has been a hoot. I like to kind of walk the bass out and just do a wrap up. Tell these guys where they can find all your music, all you guys in social media and all that.
Hell yeah. You can find Our Common Roots on facebook.com/OurCR. You can find us on Instagram at OC Roots. Website ourcommonroots.band, where you can find everything about upcoming shows, merchandise and stuff when it becomes available, photos and what have you. Find our music on iTunes. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube. Or just hit one of us up on Facebook. Ask for a CD. We'd be happy to send one out to you. No problem. And be sure to check us out July 18th, Thursday, for Saranac Thursday, 6 to 9.
Awesome, dude.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
on, dude.
absolutely.
This has
And
been awesome.
guys, like you said, check them out this Thursday. I'll be there. And again, I want to give a shout out to the Verona Fire Department, Bob Arno, Broken Rule, all the guys that got me involved yesterday at the Verona Country Music Fest.
Yeah.
It was a good jamming time. I was unfortunately not able to see Styles play. Styles Hari, he's a big Tennessee act who's from New Hartford.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he's been down in Nashville making it big, and he's from New Hartford area.
That's sweet.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. It was just a really good vibe, and I had a great time. So
Hell yeah.
thank you to all of them, and stay tuned. We'll be bringing you guys some more content. I'll have some more footage and photos from yesterday, and probably take some pics and get some good footage of you guys playing Thursday. So
Awesome, man. Sounds good.
yeah, guys, stay tuned. Thank you again to Grady Spencer and The Work for letting me use their song, Streets of Gold. Great song. They've got great music, guys. Check them out on all social media, Grady Spencer and The Work. And, of course, GradySpencer.com, www.gradyspencer.com. And who knows, maybe if it's in the cards, we'll have Grady on a Skype interview. Kind of hard to fly him up from Texas, so Skype will have to do.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll see you later, and enjoy your Sunday. Try not to get lost out there.